I'm ready to move on to talk about the biggest
Let's
album
do it.
release of October.
Oh boy.
Dayseeker have released their brand new album, Creature in the Black Night.
Mid-seeker. That's my take on this. And I'll get into
searched for the night and
just found another music video that Rory could dance in with an attractive woman. That's all they found for no good reason. Okay, can we all agree that of their 3 most recent albums, this is the weakest?
yeah.
Yes. No. I wouldn't say by a significant margin, though.
Okay.
I would say it's very close to Dark Sun.
Sleep Talk is the best, though.
Yes.
I don't think it's close to Dark Sun.
I don't think so either, but I understand. I understand the sentiment.
Do you want me to explain my logic then? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I feel like this album is honestly, like, other than lyrically, obviously lyrically it is very different to Dark Sun and Sleep Talk, but I feel like sonically and emotionally, and especially like the pacing and structure of this album feels very reminiscent to Dark Sun, where you open with Pale Moonlight, admittedly not the best album opener, but it works in context for this album. But by the time you get towards the middle of the album, you get a song like Soul Burn, which is this really sort of slow and atmospheric song, which kind of reminds me of a song like Homesick in a way, where it's like pretty slow, and like Homesick, you get that really fun, uplifting part, which you don't really get in Soul Burn, but it's a sonic shift in the album. And then Bloodlust again is like a heavier sort of shift as well. And then Cemetery Blues into Nocturnal Remedy. Again, these songs, Cemetery Blues especially, is a bit of a slower song, leans more into the synths. Nocturnal Remedy reminds me a lot of how it felt listening to The Embers Glow into the color black, or if I'm comparing it to Dark Sun, how it felt going from like a Homesick into Midnight Eternal into Dark Sun. Like the sonic shift, it feels very on brand for Dayseeker, and even the way that they end the album with The Living Dead, it feels very similar to how Paper Heart felt in the context of Dark Sun, of this slower, borderline acoustic ballad. Sort of towards the middle back half of the album is like a palate cleanser before you get into Meet the Reaper and Forgotten closes the album, similar to how you have Paper Heart before you get into the end of Dark Sun with Afterglow, Hazel's song. Like, song structurally wise, I feel like the pacing of this album, it really stands out for the honestly not that much time that I've spent with a lot of the songs on here, because each song has such a unique identity to it. I have created space in my head where this is a very memorable album by the nature of how well the album is paced and how well it flows.
That's extremely valid, and I will say that for all of my criticisms of it, I think that the structure and the pacing are both really well executed. There wasn't a time where I felt bored listening to this by virtue of the song structure and the way the album was organized. What I will say is I feel like where Dayseeker, and I disagree with your point about the emotion on this, because I feel like what makes Dayseeker so good is their ability to make you feel something when you're listening to their music. And a majority, if not all, of the songs on Sleep Talk, you feel that emotion and you understand it and hear it, and they make you understand it by virtue of how well it's delivered and how earnestly and honestly. It's very raw.
I think Vultures is like my best example of that.
Yes.
That song makes me feel so angry whenever I hear it, and I just want to beat the crap out of somebody. And it's not because I hate the song. I love the song, but it, like, the emotion that gets across,
it makes you want to take action. Like I totally get what
exactly,
you're saying with that.
I didn't feel that emotion once on this entire album.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I think there are a lot of good songs on here. I really liked Soul Burn. I liked Bloodlust by virtue of the fact that I thought it was one of the only songs on this album to do something that was simultaneously heavy and interesting. But by and large, you know, even on Dark Sun, there were songs on there that I thought were weaker, but at the very least, I could feel them. And to me, this just feels like the overproduced Rory show. Like, I have no problem with pop music. I mean, you know me, I love pop music. I don't care how much pop influence an album has. Sometimes the more the better. But this doesn't feel like the band really has a chance to shine. This feels like Rory Rodriguez. This doesn't feel like Dayseeker, both in terms of letting the talented musicians shine and on what we've come to expect from their identity. Like, it feels to me like a very plastic, almost corporate album that you can sing about relationships and hardships and depression and, you know, mental struggles. And when he did it on Dark Sun and Sleep Talk, I felt it. I'm like, yeah, I know this guy's gone through it. If you gave me this album in a vacuum and told me this guy experienced those things, I wouldn't believe you, because it doesn't feel honest. It doesn't feel like he's singing from a place of experience or really feeling that. It feels like he's singing for, hey, how good can I make this sound for the album? And that's just...
And I think, like, especially with the last album being, like, about his late father and how he, like, struggled with that, it almost, like, with the theming of this, it almost, like, contradicts...
Yeah, and
I like that album being like, okay, I'm sad my father died, but now I wanna, I don't know. Just like the theming, I feel like it just contradicts.
Well,
I don't know how to word it better, but
no, I hear you. And I think that one of the biggest things that I saw him talking about on Twitter when they dropped Pale Moonlight and Creature in the Black Night is he was responding to people's criticism by saying that, like, oh, I think it was something along the lines of, like, if you don't like these songs, like, you're not sexy. Sexy people like these songs. You don't fuck. And I'm like, well, have you considered that they're just mid? Have you considered that people have developed incredible attachments to music that you actually believed in? And now that you're making, you know, what sounds like overproduced slop at times, if I'm being honest. It is. It's baddiecore, but it's not baddiecore with meaning.
it's bad baddiecore.
It's bad baddiecore. How many bad baddies in the room right now? Zero bad baddies. There's, like, how long is it? 11? There's 11 bad baddies on this album. I don't know, man. I hate to harp on it because of how much I connect with the rest of the material from this band, but what are we doing? This doesn't feel like it's anything. This feels like they put out an album to meet quotas, and the label told Rory, sound as good as possible in as many ways as possible, but also somehow make your uncleans not hit at all. I feel like it just doesn't
make it
work.
spooky because it's releasing in October.
Right, exactly. Like, what the hell? What are we doing here? I don't know. Maybe I just need to let go of the band that made Sleep Talk, because this feels like they're taking... It's a slap in the face to what I feel like they had done to make their brand, and also earned by virtue of how strong and passionate the songs were. I don't feel that passion at all on this album. At the very least, I don't feel it from the instrumental side of and frankly, I wouldn't either if all the songs were just Rory flexing his vocal chops over the same instrumentation you've heard a million times.
Now, was it the guitarist left?
Mm-hmm. He's hella talented. I would too if I was getting used like he was on this album. Like, the guy's insanely good. Seeing them live, he's got great vocals. I wouldn't want to be on this band. Hell no, not with this music. Absolutely not. It feels like Rory's passion project more than anything else, which is fine, I guess. He's a great vocalist, but this is a shell of what the band used to be, and I was very disappointed by this album, even if I found songs that I liked on it.
Mm.
Justin, you've been quiet.
Yeah, I was just kind of letting everyone finish because I know I'm the one who actually prefers this over Dark Sun.
He said, let you guys shit on this for like 10 minutes.
Well, I
Now,
mentioned it
here's
earlier,
why
and
it's
you guys were
good."
just talking about it, so I was just like, I'll just wait.
No,
So,
I got you, bro.
Yeah, either way, like, I mean, I didn't really like most of Dark Sun when it dropped. And it's not just because, like, I wasn't in that headspace or anything. Not a lot of songs
It
really
has its flaws.
connected
Mhm.
with me, just kind of long term. Whereas this, I'm looking at it and I've got songs like Shapeshift and Nocturnal Remedy and Meet the Reaper that are like easily some of my favorites that Dayseeker have dropped since Sleep Talk, and I'm gonna keep going back to them. And I'm just, I guess I'm just kind of disconnected from it all because like this is like one of the bands where I feel like the emotion should fit and should like be a driver for me, and it's not. It's just kind of like, yeah, I mean, it sounds good. I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna enjoy it. So, I mean, I'm kind of being on the other side of that spectrum where, you know, if it's just going to be something that, you know, sounds good, works great, even if it like doesn't paint a whole picture that's any different than like what else is going on, I'm still gonna enjoy it because I know at the end of the day, if like Roy writes this for a reason, he's not talented. Like he writes songs for a reason and to be impactful in whatever way he chooses. This time around, it just wasn't based on grief, and kind of taking that whole element out of it. I think if this is the way they want to sound and kind of fit more into that synth wavy sound and kind of, you know, work more, lean more into Rory's vocals, that's fine. I mean, that's what Dayseeker is here for. There's other bands that like kind of sound similar that have different drivers, and I think Sleep Talk and Dark Sun and their own kind of bubbles being kind of the drivers based on emotion and grief that Rory had at the time, whether it be, you know, for his late father or for just like relationships and other personal stuff. I think those are kind of set off in like their own separate bubbles and can still pre-exist along with this one.
That's entirely fair. I like some of the slower songs on here. I really enjoy some of the vocal moments. I think that you're onto something when it's like, well, what's the primary reason you listen to Dayseeker? Do you listen to it because you really like Rory and like his voice and the way that it sounds, or do you listen to it because you can connect to the song? Obviously, those two things can coexist, but what's your primary reason? And for me, that primary reason was being able to connect to the music, which I feel like is entirely missing on here. But if your majority reason is, hey, I really like the way that Rory sounds and his voice and the things he can do, fuck, I mean, this would be a fantastic album. I can understand why you'd be in. Yeah, I see your side. I can't get myself to enjoy this album by virtue of how much like other bands that have gone more like corporate that it sounds. Which is unfortunate, but to each their own. I say that after being like, no, I don't like this, and I can't connect to it. No. But it really, I mean, the reason I can connect to it is because of to each their own. So,
right.
Yeah, I was hoping that the singles wouldn't be indicative of how I would end up feeling about this album, since I didn't like them as much, and unfortunately, it didn't end up working out. But